Hello, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my new friend, Chris O'Connor. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Kathy. Hi, everybody.
Well, I'm so excited to introduce all of you to Chris's work. He is a multidimensional thinker, inventor, consciousness explorer, and his life journey bridges science, spirituality, and galactic innovation. So today we're going to have a wonderful opportunity to learn from somebody who has a worldview that is not galactic view, not just worldview, about what's going on here, and maybe help guide us to a new understanding of our place in the universe and our excitement to what's happening. Right, Chris?
I'll do my best.
So Chris, let's start with, you have had multiple ET experiences that helped you shape your perspective of consciousness and spirituality. Could you share, I know you grew up in California, could you share a little bit about your journey so that people can understand and maybe walk the path with you a little bit about your awareness?
Sure. First of all, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, sure. Thank you for saying yes.
Yeah, of course. Well, of course, it's a long story, long journey, but I guess the best way to begin is pretty much to say that I have many memories of past lives. I also have many memories of planning this life. Actually putting in, programming things and seeing what the end result would be. And because we all have goals, we come and we incarnate because we have goals. And that's generally whatever experiences we can have to actually advance our soul, our eternal soul. So we do whatever in this next incarnation that we're planning. We'll just plan out different things. And so part of what I had done was myself and my soul family, which are varied in many members. A few of us went and we met with United States military prior to my being born. I did that in another body, in my original form. And we made a plan that I would work for the military for a period of time. And that would give me the opportunity to help with disclosure and to help with advancement of technology in some health. Not that I was an expert at that, but that was my goal. I wanted to help people learn and realize and understand and remember that we can heal ourselves spiritually, mentally, and physically. So those were all my goals. And I just wanted people to become aware and enlighten their soul to the fact that there's a galactic community out there waiting for us to evolve enough as a race for them to introduce themselves on a much larger scale than what they've been doing. Right now, they're acquiescing to our governments that have said that we're not ready. Their people aren't ready, so they must only work with them. To a degree, they're correct, but for the most part, all of the races that I worked with, even after I was born, don't like the fact that we aren't told the truth. But there's nothing they can do about it. So they're waiting in the wings for us to be ready. And that's part of my primary goal, is to help humanity become ready so that we can begin this galactic journey and evolution of the human race. And so that's why I'm here. And there's been a lot of experiences that I can quote to you guys, but for the most part, I really love and focus on the fact that we can relearn how to heal ourselves.
It's a perfect question. I'm wondering, is there a way, because you were able to remember your past lives and your past commitments during this life. Is there a way for all of us to do that?
Yes, absolutely. For the most part, it's just you first have to trust yourself. You know, we can pray, we can have conversations with guidance, you know, whatever our method is. Go into meditation, ask questions, and then remain silent. Whatever we do as an individual, do that, but then trust the information that comes through. You know, because there's a good chance it's your guidance. You know.
So does your information come through visually in pictures or in words?
It's a combination. Mostly, I'm a very visual person.
Me too.
So it was like 20+ year journey. I mean, my whole life, I have certain memories of past life stuff. And then certain different circumstances in my life happened to kind of as guideposts to help me realize, okay, these memories are real. And I can give you a quick example of that.
Good.
Yeah. I moved several years ago to the island of Kauai in Hawaii. And I moved into this house. It was on the top of a hill on a ridge. And I could see another hill in the distance. And that hill was very familiar to me, but I just thought it was beautiful. But that's called the Kauai Coffee Plantation property just below that hill. And if you and if you have permission, you can go on the plantation in the afternoons after they finished working, and you can drive the roads because then you have access to like different coves and different beaches and areas that you don't normally have access to because it's private property. So I always had this memory since I was a little kid of me riding a horse. And I know I'm going to see a foreman on a pineapple plantation, and I'm riding through on this road, you know, riding the horse, and all these pineapples, just hundreds of thousands of pineapple plants, and I can see the mountains on the right, and I can see the cliffs and the ocean on the left, and then I ride up to this gentleman in a big white like grass hat, and that's the end of the memory. Well, one day, I was driving my car on property, and this is in this life, it's real. I'm driving and in the afternoon, and I'm heading in the same direction and apparently the same exact road, which is a private road. And then I look over and I see the mountains, and I look back over and I see the cliffs. I see everything I saw in the memory I had since I was a child. And I suddenly remembered who I was. My name was Walter Duncan McBride. They owned the plantation, his family. And then it turns out that the one moving from the mainland, I had never been to the island of Kauai. I moved to one town that Walter founded.
Wow.
And he had donated 350 acres to anybody that wanted to homestead and create a town. And the hill I was recognizing was a golf course that Walter built before he died.
Wow.
And I'm like, and then I saw these photographs of Walter, and I'm like, I remember having those pictures taken of me.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so is that like a seepage of okay, so time isn't linear that like we've been taught. It's all happening at the same time. So while you're experiencing that, could you affect his actions in his timeline? Because they say if we heal something, emotional problems in our psyche in this lifetime, it affects the whole timeline.
Yeah, I have heard that as well. And because I am technically in this body in two places, on two separate timelines, I can tell when certain things happen to the other me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, I know there's like a quantum connection.
The 2-year-old of you. Oh,
And older,
oh,
because I left the planet for 60 or for 40 years, and I'm technically still gone. I don't come home until 2030.
okay. So we're not going to confuse everyone for today.
Right. That's a
I
big
do
one.
want to interview you again and really go into time travel and all of that. But what the reason I'm asking is I really want to help people understand the possibilities and open up their imagination into what's possible. Because going to the Newtonian scientific model, it's so rigid, it doesn't expand enough to give you the galactic view or the bigger view. For instance, in a bigger view, you and I are watching each other talking on this, which I do. That's my life.
Yeah.
So I want everyone to have that perspective because they won't be so hard on themselves. They can love themselves a little bit better, and that there'll be less in judgment because that version of you is just experiencing. It isn't judging right or wrong. It's just like, that's an interesting. Wonder why they had that reaction.
Yeah.
But
Well, our higher self has already had all these experiences, and then now they're just monitoring to be of assistance.
right.
I literally remember, I've seen a number of times in my life, probes, great big, like beach ball size probes floating in the air, right? And they're like white. And I know every time I see those, that's me watching me.
How's he doing down there?
Like, when we can, and what it is they're outside of time. Earth time is different. So what's happening is that when we're doing the life review prior to incarnating and looking through things, that's what we see if you see these probes.
Okay, so let's try to keep this so that I really want people to understand how useful this information is from you and so I wanted to set the stage of how expanded the view is that you have before we talk about the concept of soul or reincarnation or any of those concepts. Could you, because you have a very anchored concept compared to most of the, if you go back to the spiritual teachings like in Rumi and some of the ancient Indian Hindus teachings, it's a longing. I mean, there's never a finding. It's always longing, and it's always outside. It's not inside.
Right.
And so could you share with us a little bit about your concept of soul and this you did mention about accessing knowledge, inner knowledge, and guidance through meditation, but you're bringing in, I would say, I'm just calling it an expanded view because I don't know what to call it, where you're not in the box anymore. The veil is gone. You're working with possibilities at a higher level without fear. So that's your connection to soul. So I don't want to lead you in a way. I want you to share with me, if possible, your concept of soul and this consciousness that we're made of and the dance that we have with it.
Right. Well, to the best of what I can recall,
Okay.
The soul develops slowly, and we develop different consciousnesses as we go, and we can relate those to the densities, multiple densities, and those densities are levels of material and of consciousness. So a soul will come in at when they're brand new, they'll come in at a very base rate, and they'll become conscious to a very minor degree. So they could be a single cell amoeba, they could be a plant, they can be anything along those lines, just to have experience of life, physical life. And then they'll repeat those many, 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 many times. We all have done this. And then as we have many lifetimes, then we begin to see the necessity and the need or the desire for others. So we recognize others, because when we first start off, we seek out either darkness or light, or solar or chemical food. And so that's our whole consciousness. But then we have enough of those lifetimes, we move on to a more in-depth thought pattern. And so we begin thinking on terms of interaction with others, whatever they might be. And you don't have to, we're not a human at this point. We could be like, some sort of pack animal, for example, that knows that it has a pack, and they interact, and there's love that they show one another at their level. But then there's a higher level to that, where we then become self-conscious, meaning conscious of the self. And we realize, if we look into a pond, say you're a wolf, and you look into the pond, and you see your reflection, and you recognize the fact, and you move your head, and you realize that's you. Well, then you have a self-awareness. And also, now that you know how to interact with others, and you know that there's a need to have others in your life, you're eligible to become now a human. And that's the process. And then the humans, we have many lifetimes. And then we develop our soul through that process. And then we get to the point where we realize, okay, we're human, we're fully human. We get that, but then we also begin to look up into the stars and wonder what else is there. And that's where humanity as a race is right now. Many people have already achieved that level, and they know there are other things there. And then when you can get to that level, then you can bring in memories of past lives. And the more lifetimes you have, the easier it is to pull in the memories, and the easier it is for that veil to become thinner and thinner. And there'll be a point in time where nobody will forget it all. It's just part of the evolutionary process. And in that remembering, we often call them lessons here on earth, the reasons to come and incarnate, to continue the evolution of our soul, to enrich our soul for its eternal life, and the journey back to God, journey back to source. Then we would continue repeating those until we have this freedom of the soul. And then we begin to remember that we can heal ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally. We can manifest anything we desire in our life. We live like a superhero, and then the next step after that is leaving the planet, leaving Earth, and visiting other planets and helping other races. So our process right now is and the reason I say the things I say, I don't say the things I say to be believed. I really only say them to be heard, to help people, even if it doesn't make sense right now. At some point it might for you, and that's my hope. And then we will realize what amazing souls we are, and that we are part of Source. We're part of God. We're equally a part, equal to every other living being that exists, and that we have just as much power and love within us.
So, Chris, are there old souls and young souls? I mean, there's souls that have different experiences, but were all the souls made at the same time? And they're just on, no? Oh,
No.
so they're still consciousness is still creating souls.
Yes.
Okay.
Whenever there's a developing planet that's ready and available to support life, then the process begins.
Okay. So, and As far as our ascension that we're going through right now, could you share what you understand? I know you knew that you have a mission. My mission is to help as many people as possible wake up to their divinity, which is very similar to yours.
Mhm.
I'm working a lot with the Arcturians. Do you know what your mission is and and who you're
Yeah.
working with?
Yeah, my mission has been to help the humanity, and it's because we're evolving right now. We're going to be amazing in a few decades. Oh my God, it's going to be just so amazing. I'm excited, and I can't wait for everybody to experience that. But we are. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. What was your?
So what I was asking you was the ascension, because there's been, since 2012, there has been so many different interpretations of everything that's going on here. And some of it seems so off to me that I was hoping that I could get the real information from you about our journey to being cosmic beings and having our superpowers, because we all have them. We just forgot, right?
They're all there, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the remembering process, and that goes right back to what I was saying in the beginning. You must trust yourself.
Okay.
You must trust yourself that what you know and believe in your heart is true, and then don't hold that in. Share that information. It's scary to do, I know.
No,
Trust
well,
me.
it's scary to proclaim to others. It's not scary to do, because once you get a bigger picture, I did not have a near-death experience like you did. I've had multiple spiritually transformative experiences. And once you see a different way of looking at this whole game, you can't go back.
No.
But I'm trying to, what I was asking for help with is how you see this ascension process, so that people aren't they aren't frightened of finding out their origin species, maybe, or their superpowers. They're not frightened of the expanded opportunity that's going to be for everyone here. Could you talk a little bit about that, about the ascension?
Yeah. Well, see, we all ascend as an individual, but also as a race. So the things that will begin to happen more and more often will be physical healing will be more quick and more effective. Mental and spiritual work will be more effective. There'll be more telepathic abilities with people. There'll be more telekinetic even abilities with people. And those things, what they begin to do, because ultimately when we're telepathic, we can communicate with one another on a different level. And then there's no lies, and there's no preconceptions. There's just truth. And when there's just truth, there's acceptance. And then when there's acceptance, there's love. And when there's love, there's greater growth spiritually. And then that process has begun, but it's going to take a few decades for those things to kind of like settle in. And then also there's a process of a lot of negative souls are no longer incarnating on Earth, so that'll free up that positive Earth energy without having a more of a negative energy kind of fighting it. So we won't have the need for a police force, for example, because we won't need to lock our doors, because we're just not going to steal from one another or harm one another. And that's where the evolution in of the human race is headed.
Okay.
So there really should be no fear in the fact, you just know that what's happening is your true self is coming through. We've been taught all of these things. I was raised fundamentalist Christian, and all of these things, the telepathic power or telekinetic power is evil. and it's demonic and it's demons and all of this. Well, I mean, it isn't, it's just, if God can do it, so can you. So if
Wow.
God can speak the universe into existence, you have that same power of thought, which is manifestation. And
Yeah.
that's what's happening with a lot of people now, is we're beginning to see these things come through.
Perfect. Thank you. So do you feel that you have a team of more than galactic team, as well as angels and archangels and any of the other earth team?
Oh, there's no doubt.
And so when you're meditating, do you call on them? Or
I invite
I'm
whomever would
wondering,
like.
I'm wondering how different it is what you do than what we may have, by following a teacher, may have learned to do.
Well, I will say in a nutshell, what I do is just, I ground myself to the earth. I release all negative energy to be sent out into the universe and become what it wants away from me. And then I balance all the chakras, all the energy centers of my body. And then I invite whoever is interested in being there that day, especially if they need assistance in some form or fashion. And then I ask whoever else is joining that session for that day that they assist others that need help as well. So
Okay.
I don't limit it to myself. I'm only one of many thousands sometimes in those sessions.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Okay. So, but you, like, for instance, if you were doing a healing, we're going to talk about your device in a little bit. You're using your device. Do you call on a team to help with the device as well?
I absolutely do. When I work with somebody, we first sit down and we do a session that can last sometimes a couple of hours. And that is just a conversation. I call it Q&A, where who I'm working with opens a session by requesting a session be open, requesting to their guidance that we open a session. And then they communicate with my guidance, and then my guidance communicates with me, and I can help guide them through some questions that they may have. And then we kind of find, often in this process, we find the impetus of some of what's happening to them in the physical.
Okay.
It's a lot of times it's a past life issue that hasn't been resolved. And so I definitely call on my guides, and I request who I'm working with, they call on theirs. And that way it's a big team effort. I have literally seen spiritual brain surgery in my presence, where this, person was, having a quite difficult time. I won't say too much about it, but for the first 12 minutes, she was really like uncomfortable. And I know exactly how much time it took, because I saw them leaving. They were doing these light probes in her brain. And I don't know what they were doing exactly. But as soon as I saw them leave the room, she said that's when it became very comfortable and she was very happy.
Wow, cool. So you haven't said who's working with you, what alien species is working with you, your primary one? Are you comfortable in sharing that?
I've been asked not to.
Okay.
There's no real reason for it other than it doesn't support me in whatever reason, and that was just what I was told. I do know that the race that I come from, I don't think we even have a name anymore.
Oh.
But we would build suns. That was our main job. We would create, the environment in a way that a sun could develop. And so it was just, they customize a sun for a solar system you may want to build. So we've been around a long time.
Wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. Okay, so you are using this physical vessel now to create devices and methods to help people clear either past life issues that are showing up as a physical issue here. Now, are they thought forms or emotions that are stuck in this physical?
They can be a number of things.
Okay.
I've seen just the thought forms, things that people tell themselves in the back of their mind, emotions which are related to an event from a past life that they can't quite figure out or don't realize that they're attached to. And we kind of detach that and then deal with the emotional aspect. And then sometimes they're entities that are attached to them, so it could be a number of things.
So do you see their aura? Do you see it? So I see things through my third eye. I usually have closed my eyes, and I see a movie. I see it, and so is that the way you see it as well?
One of my methods is definitely, I call it my brain movies. Just close my eyes and I can see it like I have no control. There's no thought. I just see it like a feature film,
Right,
running through. Sometimes I see physically, rarely physically, mostly psychically. I could see the aura, and then in the aura I can see, like different layers, and then in sometimes those layers there's like a rip or tear or there's something wrong, and so I know to look at that part of the body, and so it's a number of methods.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed in this past year, and I would say a full calendar year, is cords. That there's just so many people corded to other people, and they don't even know it. They don't know that they're losing valuable energy. So why don't we talk a little bit about the Deem device? And so first of all, can you show it? Because you have the gold one.
Oh yeah.
Fancy. Okay. So you guys, part of the how I met Chris was I heard him being interviewed, I think, by Danny Henderson. And then my friend Paul Sperry headed a panel for the IANDS event. And I think this is my 6th or 7th year as a volunteer for IANDS every year. And love the group and love the energy of everyone. Yeah. And Chris was on a panel last year with PMH Atwater, and Paul led the panel. I'm not sure who else was on it with you.
Catherine Chappie.
Oh, okay.
Lady named Catherine.
That's right. And the way I heard about you was through this device. So, and I love devices. So, so could you share a little bit about, I know that we'll go to the site and show them, but could you share a little bit about your journey to creating it?
Sure. This was one of the things, well, the one that I remember, from when I was off planet, looked like this. It was nickel, or at least silver. But I always remembered that as a little child, I remembered this thing. But it was always sitting next to me on a table, like a stainless steel medical type of table. And it was sitting next to me, but I never knew what it was for most of my life. And then one day when I was in a deep meditation, I suddenly remembered everything about the device and what it was, what it can do, how to build it, everything there was to know about it. I knew in an instant. I thought that was a download for a long time. But then I think I realized later that it was just a memory unlock. So the information was already there. I just hadn't brought it through. So when I did, I built one. I started building it, because I built it for pain relief, because I have severe back issues and, some other issues that I experienced, especially at that time. I was on morphine twice a day, every day for over 20 years. And that was the only thing they could do for me, they said, after multiple surgeries, was drug therapy. They make it sound decent, but it's not. And so I'm like, I've got to build this device and see if it works. So I built the first one, and I was meditating, and I put it up. I was leaning against a wall, and I put that first DEAMS back behind my back, and I leaned back, and every bit of pain was gone instantly. And I'm like, oh, this thing works. So then I started looking deeper into it, and I realized that this was a device I used while I was off planet, and that it's a little different. Theirs does different things. Mine only does healing, pain relief, and helps balance the energy system in the chakras. And Reiki, people that do Reiki and any kind of energy work love the device because it makes what they can do multiple times better because it's bringing in. So basically what it does is within this, there's a steel rod that separates, it's just a copper tube, but it separates it into two parts. And then there's 13 magnets that run in a series within it, inside of it. So there's 13 magnets inside. And then this is also a magnet. It's a ring magnet. So how it works is if I take this off, then you have this magnet series. It's running this way, right? And this magnet is magnetized rather, in a way that it pushes energy. So as this energy is coming up and wants to go around and continue back down, keep that series going, this one's pushing it out. So it literally creates a vortex. So as it comes around, it creates a vortex, and that vortex penetrates the body. So if you have pain, it penetrates it. And the thing about pain relief that's important is that our nervous system and our brain uses what's called piezoelectric energy. And there's two ways to create piezoelectric energy. It's a perfectly natural energy. In fact, that's what keeps us conscious and alive. Our pineal gland creates it by putting hydraulic pressure from the CSF fluid, the cerebral spinal fluid, in the pineal gland. It puts pressure on these little calcite crystals. And then when you put pressure on it, that creates a spark of energy, of piezoelectric energy. So to create piezoelectric energy, you put pressure on a crystal. Quartz is the best. Diamonds are great. Calcite, which is a form of quartz, does as well. And that's what's in the brain. And that's the electrical system your brain uses for its synapses, for its information, for its transfers, and it sends it out to the whole body through the nervous system. So this interacts directly with the nervous system. And the difference between, first of all, neodymium magnets, which these are extremely powerful, and the federal government is very aware of it, and they know that it helps heal the body in a number of ways. But beyond just magnetic energy is piezoelectric energy. Now you see, this is how it wants to naturally sit on the device, because this is the way the field is flowing through it. But I twist this and cause it to go against its magnetic field a little bit. The other way to create piezoelectric energy is by forcing a magnet to go against its polarity. And that creates piezoelectric energy. So now as the magnetic energy is coming around, creating a vortex, it's also creating piezoelectric energy. And that's why it interacts with your body fully naturally in a really amazing, simple way. And people are finding it easier to manifest. People use it on their pets. There's no effect other than the truth when it comes to a pet getting relief from a device. They don't know what they're doing. They just know they're going to lay on it because it feels good, and suddenly they feel better. I have veterinarians that use it, holistic type of veterinarians. So it's an amazing thing.
Okay. So you discovered, or you remembered it. I'm going to show this. Liz Sorensen wrote, "I love the DEAMS device and work with it both on me and my clients. So it is amazing to use."
Yeah.
So thanks,
Thank you,
Liz. for sharing that. Thank you. Thank you. So piezoelectric energy, Vogel talked about using the Vogel crystal.
Yes.
And trying to think, the Lena Denon and others have talked about the energy. If you press on the, you get piezoelectric energy if you press in the middle of a Vogel crystal.
Yes.
And this is a fake Vogel because I don't have a, but I have held one before, and they're amazing, amazing energy. But
Yeah.
this is a Brazilian cut. But anyway, but you still can feel it. So have you ever seen the work of Nikan, Nikkan? It's a Japanese company that uses magnets and everything.
No.
Yeah, you might want to check them out too, because they may have a lot of the science that would help you, because they've been around for 40 years or more. And they even had magnets you could put in, inserts you could put into your shoes. I had bedding that was made by them. You magnets on your mattress pad. So they've done a lot of research on magnetic energy for the wellness of your system.
Oh yeah, the whole bodily system responds very well to magnetism, because it goes into the quantum field as well, and so cells actually get stimulated, and when they're stimulated, they heal and regrow. So it's pretty basic once you understand it, but you have to be able to apply it.
So you gave us an example of how it changed your back, and you were somehow able to get back there. Can you give us some other examples of other healings that you could share?
Oh, certainly. On myself, even on my because of the back injury, and as a side note, after I built the Deems device, I was able to go off of all medications, especially the pain medications, and I haven't been on them since, and that's been about 5 years.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So this is what I use. So, but also because of that same back injury, I don't feel my feet. They're neuropathy issues, and if you have neuropathy, you're either you feel nothing or you're in intense pain. I mean, there's not really very little in between. And so I will often place this, at the foot of my bed, at night, and keep it there. And it really helps with neuropathy. But I have literally hundreds of stories of different customers who have spoken extremely well of the device. One lady was I think she was like in her 60s, 70s. She wasn't able to work anymore, although she needed to work because she couldn't walk. Her hips were too painful. So she sat down with the device one day, 30 minutes on one side, 30 minutes on the other side, and she stood up and walked. And she's like, I was able to go back to work.
Wow.
After an hour. I'm like, well, I can't explain these things. I really can't, except for this is just what the body knows it needs, and the device brings in, because if we were running around barefoot, like an animal, when they're injured, they're running around barefoot outside, they heal very quickly. Well, if we were doing that, we would also, because the healing energy of the earth is what heals our body. Right. Well, this basically, it just, because it's a magnetic vacuum on one end and then it shoots it out the other, it's just constantly pulling in the ambient earth energy. And that's the energy that our body uses to heal. So you're just flooding your body with all of this beautiful, positive, healing earth energy. And so your body responds generally quite well to it.
That's fantastic. So I watched a bunch of your videos and went through your website, and I'll show the website in just a few minutes. The inside of the case holds copper And so it's like a battery basically on the inside, but
Yeah.
you use beeswax. Could you talk about why you use beeswax?
At first I didn't understand why. I was told by guidance to use beeswax, but it turns out that there are so many different metals in this. It's copper, neodymium, bromine, um, iron. Just a bunch of different metals. Well, that could be very harsh to the human body, a human energy body. It can be very harsh. So I was trying to find a solution, and guidance says use beeswax because beeswax has a low earth vibration, which is like a healing vibration, and it'll bring all of that. It'll bring the frequency of the device down a little bit, and then by doing so, it'll be more gentle on the body. And then after that, I learned that diamonds would focus energy in a much better way. So now every single Deems device has 8 carats of micro diamonds in it. So now you have diamond. This one's gold, 24 karat gold. The other one is nickel. So now you have diamonds and gold. And I always promote gold and diamonds. Everybody should have gold and diamonds, and because they both focus energy so well that they help heal the body.
Okay, so do you think that's why we, as a humanity, have always loved gold? Is that it's part of our well-being?
I think so. I think we have like this innate feeling that gold, there's more to it than it just being shiny and pretty. Although that, I think a lot of people, that's our primary thing, right? We love the shiny gold. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking that the Anunnaki did Ormus. They wanted the powdered gold, and that's why they came here. So I thought maybe that was part of it's in our consciousness that gold is valuable. And they were inhaling it. So I don't know what that would do. Okay. So you have 2 different styles. They're both the same strength. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
But it's more preference, or isn't the gold one stronger with the gold cover on it, or?
See, that's interesting and true. They both, originally the gold looked like the silver one. Okay.
Right.
But then I electroplate it in 24 karat gold. And the reason that does is because the human body loves gold energetically, that when you're holding this, it changes the frequency. So this is the frequency of nickel. This is the frequency of gold.
I see.
And the frequency of gold, our body takes in more easily.
Yeah.
And so, and people feel it differently.
Gold plated too. So yeah, I get it. Yeah, but I have a lot of copper here too. I have a lot of copper. Okay, so is there sacred geometry in any of this, or is it's all is there a formula? It's obviously in flow. It's like a battery.
Mm-hmm.
But is there any other magical stuff?
It's loosely, based after the Ankh, the Egyptian Ankh.
Right. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. And that's, people call it the Ankh all the time. I'm like, yeah, it does kind of look like that, so I can't complain. But also the design of it is after something called the Baghdad battery. Now, the Baghdad battery is a healing device and an energy device that was being built thousands of years ago. It's just a small copper pot. They're only about this big. And within that copper pot, clay, fired clay, they put a flattened out copper, but then they roll it into a tube. And then they put an iron rod in the middle of that. And then they put in like grape juice or water or, whatever has some electrolytes in it. And then those electrolytes transfer through the gold and the iron, or the iron and the copper. And then at the top of this would be a little flame. It would come out, a light would come out. And then they would place this on different parts of the body. to help heal the body. And the Ankh in Egypt was basically the same thing. It was just an energy device to help heal and protect the body.
Yeah, makes total sense. So when people get this, do you give them a training on how best to use it, or is it still experimental at this point? I mean, how many years have you been making it?
Just over 5.
Okay.
Since I built the first one, and it's taken a while to build up to that, obviously, but I do have a brochure and I do have some videos.
Yeah, we'll show that. Why don't I show the website so that it makes it easier for you to guide them? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So here is the lightlovemedia.com.
Right. Yeah. And so just for the most part, there's some documentation a little further down. You can see here, and these are just, you just passed and go back a little bit. All of these are free downloads. Some of it's just information, well, it's all information, but some of it is information to help guide you, like where where the meridians in the body are and the chakra system, and those things just are to assist you in understanding where the body is and how to work with it, with the deems. But then additionally, of course, there's reviews, and they come and go. Those always switch out. But
I thought this was great. This section, all the downloadable data,
right,
was great.
Yeah, all of these are documents that you can download and print for free.
Yeah,
and they just help. You just help so you kind of have an idea, so that your body is, the chakra systems that are different energy centers of the body, clusters of neurons in the body that create different vibrations and frequencies. And there's a video you can watch. It pretty much explains the origin of the deems.
It's good. So right now we're seeing the semi-precious stones that you can use on the device. Could you share a little bit, because people can see it? They're pyramids, and they have the chakra emblems at the very bottom of them that'll fit on the circle.
Yeah, some of them don't, some of them do. It's just an option.
Okay.
But basically, these are 2 documents that just explain what each of the different stones are good for different properties to help with the body.
Okay.
And so those, just click on them. I mean, they're a penny, but I don't have a choice. They make me charge something for them.
That's okay. That means that somebody really wants them. No, I think this is interesting because people. That's why I wanted to come to your store and show it to people, is that I don't think people understand the power, the opportunity to be empowered to heal themselves. They're so used to going and having somebody else's opinion. And I mean, for the amount of money that you're charging here, it's only a few sessions or maybe one session with a specialist.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It just depends, and, but like I say, they all have 8 carats of diamonds. It's not like they're not built with quality.
Yeah, right. So could you talk though a little bit about these semi-precious stones before we sign off of the website?
Sure. I never honestly used to believe that this was the case until I got into this and I researched it, and I realized that all things is energy, right? It's flowing through us all at all times. The deems brings it up and helps to focus it. So now that you're focusing it, you're just getting whatever's in the area is what you're getting more condensed. Okay. But it's mostly earth energy coming through. But if you want to work on a certain part of the body, then you put on these stones. In this particular picture, they are glued on, but I changed the design since then. And now they just kind of clip on. and you can pull them off. I don't have a set here. I just send it out to somebody.
Okay. No, I think this gives people an idea of at least the usability of it, that
Yeah.
you could get the device, try it, and then get the upgrade
Yeah.
as an add-on.
And it really supports mostly people that already know, like people that do Reiki, for example. They already know what different vibrations work with different parts of the body, and so it's natural for them to figure that out, right? Because they already know that. But if you don't know that, you cannot go wrong with just getting ample earth energy flowing through your body. I mean, that's as natural as you're going to get.
Right. So does so you said that you worked on it with your back, and do you use the semi-precious stone pyramids on you as well?
I will if it's something I can access easily. But to be honest, most of the time I don't use the stones. I don't tend to need that. I just use it for just the ambient energy, just to get all that earth energy flowing through, and also grounding. Don't forget to go out in the grass for 3 to 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, although Chris and I are both in Colorado right now, and tomorrow it's supposed to snow. So today, get out today because it's absolutely beautiful. Well, okay, so people have the opportunity to go deeper by being empowered and have more of a flow, natural flow of your energy, right?
Yes.
And
if
so
you can align those chakras, then more energy can flow through you, and then you can heal yourself. I mean, my goal is for nobody to need anything, including the deems. Ultimately, that's the best.
Like we got 20 years. So yeah, and we're seeing people using light therapy. I have a Pandora Starlight that I use. There's so many different therapies that are available now, and I think you have to let your intuition be your guide. But for people that have a lot of pain, physical pain, wow, this is just such a blessing. Such a blessing.
And one of my favorite stories, I'll tell you quickly, is there's this older lady from Dallas, and she bought a Deems. She had arthritis in her hands. So she bought a Deems, and she said it really worked. So she's part of a quilting group. And so she would take the Deems with her when they would do quilting, and they would pass the Deems around. So 2 or 3 of those ladies bought a Deems. And so I have this vision in my mind of these sweet old ladies, quilting and then passing the Deems around. It's like this interesting, cool, old, new technology while they're quilting. I just love that visual.
Oh, I love it. Well, and that's the hope is that we all are going to be in community again, feeling well and grounded.
Yes.
These times are throwing a lot of highly sensitive people way off, and it's almost a wave of energy up and down, and whatever we can do to make the peak a shorter shorter waveform rather than that, because the outside is just, it's so obvious. It's a play. It's a carnival almost, not my circus.
And that's exactly what I hope we can all remember, is that none of this is really who you are. Right. You are not this. This is just something, just like you get in your car to go somewhere, you got in this body to have an experience and to go on a journey. And this isn't who you are. So we need to remember who we are, and that will open up all the beauty of who we are.
Right. And have some fun. Come on, you guys. This was supposed to be a playground.
Yeah.
We kind of get into the serious stuff, and it's like, no. Let's get the creation juices going. The co-creation of this new reality that we all came here. We came here as the early wave to help, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Chris, one more time, let's make sure people know how to get a hold of you so that, and we'll have to do another one so we can do the rest of this because
Oh yeah.
we got
The
hours.
origin of it all.
Thank you, everyone. So yeah. So Chris, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, but you can send me an email. It's deemsdevice@gmail.com. So it's DEEMSDEVICE@gmail.com. There's my YouTube channel, which is you just go to Divine Evolution 777, and you can reach me through there, or go to the website that you showed. You showed the Light Love Media. But if you can't remember that, just think of Deems Company or deemsdevice.com. They all go to the same place. So.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah. So, and I love the name Light Love Media anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
what I do too. And Divine Evolution 777. I do recommend, if you get a chance, to go to Chris's YouTube channel, because you're going to find that there's such a plethora of information there that is very optimistic. It's really about you being excited rather than frightened for what we're going through, and seeing it. So, Liz said loads of love to both of you and all of you who are listening. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. So, Chris, we'll do this again. Thank you.
Absolutely. Goodbye. Bye, everybody.